Every story has a moment that changes everything. One choice, one secret, one person who walks in and turns your whole world upside down. Welcome to Lily Romance Tale, where we live for those moments. Stay close. Things are about to get intense. Prologue. Jenny's fingers tremble as she signs the divorce papers. Jack's cruel laughter still echoing in the council chamber. 3 years of marriage and he's discarding her like trash. All because she never shifted, never gave him the heir his precious Nightfang Pack demanded. A wolfless disgrace, he'd called her in front of the entire pack. I, Alpha Jack of Nightfang, reject you as my mate and Luna. The bond shatters like glass in her chest. Jenny doesn't cry. She's done crying. What Jack doesn't know, what no one knows, is that Jenny has been poisoned for 3 years. The weekly vitamin injections his beloved pack doctor Midge administered weren't vitamins at all, but wolfsbane distilled to suppress her true nature. Because Jenny isn't wolfless. She's the last descendant of the moon goddess's chosen bloodline, a white alpha destined to unite all packs, and Midge has been killing her slowly on Jack's orders since their wedding night. Jenny clutches her mother's journal and walks out, but Midge waits by a black vehicle, syringe in hand. One last treatment, she says, smiling. For the road. Jenny's vision blurs. The last thing she sees before hitting the ground is the Nightfang territory marker. She's being taken deeper in, not toward freedom. Chapter 1. Jenny's legs threaten to buckle with each step down the council chamber stairs, but she won't give them the satisfaction of watching her crawl. The leather journal burns against her chest, her mother's last words, the only thing Jack's enforcers didn't strip from her room before throwing her belongings into the rain. The pack house looms behind her, every window a dead eye. 3 years she scrubbed those floors, smiled at those wolves, pretended their whispers didn't slice her open. 3 years of weekly vitamin shots from Midge, the pack doctor who held her hand and promised everything would be okay, that her wolf would emerge soon, that Jack just needed time to love her. All lies. Jenny's fingers trace the journal's worn edge as her mother's final entry sears through her memory. If you're reading this, they've already begun poisoning you. The injections aren't vitamins. Run to Silvermoon territory. Reacher will know what to do. Don't trust. The entry ended mid-sentence. Her mother died 2 days later. Sudden illness, they said. Jenny, wait! She freezes. That voice has soothed her through 100 injections, 1,000 humiliations. Midge stands beside a black SUV, medical bag in hand, her smile warm as summer honey. I heard what happened in there. I'm so sorry. Jack was cruel to do it publicly like that. She moves closer, and Jenny's instincts scream run, but her body is molasses slow, her mind wrapped in cotton. I brought something to help with the pain, the rejection bond. It's going to hurt worse over the next few hours. Let me give you one last treatment. For the road. Jenny's throat tightens. She remembers the first time she met Midge, 3 years ago, at her wedding reception. Jack had introduced them with his arm tied around Jenny's waist, tight enough to bruise. Midge's eyes had been so kind, so understanding. I'll take good care of your Luna, she'd promised. And she had. Weekly visits, gentle hands. Patient explanations for why Jenny's wolf hadn't surfaced yet. Why her body rejected pregnancy. Why she was always so tired. I don't need anything from Nightfang, Jenny's voice cracks. Not anymore. Please. Midge's hand closes around Jenny's wrist, grip iron beneath silk. Just one injection, it'll help, I promise. Jenny tries to pull away, but her legs give out. Midge catches her, and 2 massive shapes detach from the shadows behind the SUV, Nightfang enforcers, their eyes amber and empty. Don't make this harder than it has to be, Midge whispers, and the syringe appears like magic, filled with that familiar amber liquid. Jenny's worn her veins raw with it. No! Jenny twists, but the enforcers pin her arms. The needle slides into her neck, cold and familiar as a lover's kiss. Midge's mouth brushes her ear. I'm sorry it had to be this way, but you have something that should have been mine. Jenny's vision fractures like broken glass. Through the splintering dark, she sees Midge push up her sleeve, sees the silver crescent birthmark on her inner wrist, the same mark hidden beneath Jenny's hairline, the one her mother made her swear to never show anyone. The same mark. Her body goes liquid, but her mind stays sharp, hovering just above unconsciousness. She feels herself loaded into the SUV, feels the engines rumble as they drive deeper into Nightfang territory, the wrong direction, away from the border, away from freedom. Midge's voice floats through the darkness. Yes, I have her. No, Jack doesn't know. He thinks she's gone. A pause. We'll extract the bloodline before he realizes she's still here. The equipment is ready. Extract. The word drips with clinical horror. Jenny forces her eyes open to slits. Through the window, she recognizes the route. They're heading to the abandoned veterinary clinic at the eastern border, the one shut down 5 years ago after the outbreak. She'd asked Jack about it once. He told her to mind her own business. The SUV stops. Midge hauls her out with the enforcer's help, and through her half-closed lids, Jenny sees the building illuminated by floodlights. The windows are covered, but light blazes from inside. Equipment hums, not veterinary equipment, laboratory equipment, extraction equipment. Her fingers brush the journal still tucked against her ribs. The small blade she'd hidden in its spine 3 days ago, the one her mother had sewn into the binding years before, presses cold against her palm. Midge drags her toward the entrance, muttering calculations under her breath. Blood work shows the markers are still active despite the suppression. If we harvest the stem cells before the wolfsbane fully metabolizes, we can... Jenny's hand closes around the blade's hilt. I'm not dying here, she whispers. Then she strikes. The blade finds Midge's shoulder. Blood blooms dark against white fabric. Midge's scream shatters the night and the enforcers lunge, but Jenny is already moving. 3 years of poison burning out of her system with every desperate heartbeat. Something ancient and furious finally waking in her chest, flooding her limbs with strength she's never felt before. She runs. Chapter 2. The first enforcer's nose shatters under Jenny's elbow. She doesn't remember learning to fight, but her body moves like water. While like violence is a language she's always spoken but never been allowed to use. The second enforcer grabs for her throat. She drives the blade through his palm, pins his hand to the SUV's hood, and runs. Midge's screams chase her into the facility. Jenny slams through the entrance, and the fluorescent lights reveal her nightmare made real. Steel tables with restraints, IV stands clustered like skeletal trees, refrigeration units lined against the walls with labels she can barely read through her swimming vision. Bloodline samples, genetic material, extraction protocols. They were going to harvest her, piece by piece. Footsteps thunder behind her. Jenny grabs the nearest thing, a tray of surgical instruments, and hurls it at the enforcers barreling through the door. Scalpels rain like silver daggers. She doesn't wait to see if they hit. She's already moving, crashing through the back exit into the forest. Midge's phone buzzes in her pocket. She doesn't remember grabbing it, but there it is, slick with blood. Jenny runs, branches tearing at her skin, her lungs screaming. Behind her, wolves howl. They're shifting. They'll be faster now. She risks a glance at the phone's screen. Messages flood the display, and Jenny's stomach lurches. Unknown. The prophecy is clear. Moon goddess bloodline must be preserved. Midge. I know, but she's my sister. There has to be another way. Unknown. Sentiment is weakness. Harvest the stem cells. We can synthesize the power without keeping her alive. Midge. Understood. Extraction scheduled for tonight. Sister? The word detonates in Jenny's chest. She scrolls further, hands shaking. Midge. Jack suspects nothing. He thinks the rejection worked. Unknown. Good. Once we have the bloodline, kill him too. The Nightfang Alpha is a liability. Jenny's foot catches a root. She crashes down, phone skittering across the forest floor. Her shoulder hits stone and white pain explodes through her body. Get up, get up, get up! She forces herself to her knees, snatches the phone, and runs deeper into the darkness. The trees thin ahead. Her mother's instructions surface through the panic. Follow the moon to the border stream. Cross into Silvermoon territory. Don't stop. Don't look back. Run toward the moon. The words echo in her head. But they're not her thoughts. The voice is feminine, ancient, amused. Run toward the moon. He's waiting. Who? Jenny gasps, but the voice is already fading, leaving only a bone-deep certainty that she's not alone in her own skull anymore. Her wolf. After 3 years of silence, her wolf is waking up. Memory slams into her, Midge holding her hand during the first injection, her smile so genuine. This will help your wolf emerge. Jack's bloodline is powerful. You just need a little boost. Jenny had believed her. God, she'd been so grateful. Another memory. Midge braiding Jenny's hair before the Luna ceremony. Her fingers gentle against Jenny's scalp. You're going to be amazing. Don't let anyone tell you different. She'd kissed Jenny's forehead like a sister, like a sister. Every kindness was a knife. Every touch was theater. The wolves are closer now. Jenny can hear their paws pounding the earth, their snarls splitting the night. Her legs are giving out. The brief surge of strength already fading. The poison is still in her system, still dragging at her bones. There. Through the trees, moonlight glints off water. Jenny crashes through the final line of brush and skids to a stop at the stream's edge. It's wider than she expected, the current vicious and white-capped. The border, Silvermoon territory, lies on the opposite bank, just 50 feet away. 50 feet, that might as well be 50 miles. She drops to her knees at the water's edge, and her reflection stares back at her. Except it's not just her reflection. The silver crescent birthmark on her hairline is glowing. Actually glowing, like moonlight trapped beneath her skin. Jenny touches it with trembling fingers, and warmth pulses through her skull. Her mother's journal entry surfaces. The mark of the moon goddess is chosen. Hide it. Oh, never let them see. They'll kill you for what you are. What am I? Branches explode behind her. Wolves pour out of the forest. 6, 8, 10 of them, their eyes blazing amber in the darkness. And at the center of the pack, still in human form, is Jack. He shouldn't be here. The rejection broke their bond. He cast her out. He should want nothing to do with her. But his eyes are wild, desperate, nothing like the cold contempt he showed her in the council chamber. His shirt is torn, his chest heaving. Jenny, stop! She backs toward the water. The current roars behind her, hungry. Midge told me everything, Jack shouts across the narrowing distance. His wolves fan out, cutting off escape routes. About the bloodline, the prophecy, what you really are. He takes a step closer, hands raised like she's a spooked animal. You're worth more than I ever knew. Come back with me. I'll make you Luna again. We can fix this. We can fix everything. Jenny's laugh tastes like blood. Fix what? 3 years of poison? 3 years of you telling me I was worthless? I didn't know. His voice cracks. I thought you were I didn't know about the power, about what you could become. Another step. The wolves tighten their circle. We can rule together. Really rule. With your bloodline and my pack, we'd be unstoppable. Understanding crashes over her like ice water. He never wanted her dead. He wanted her broken. The rejection wasn't meant to free her. It was meant to destroy her spirit, to make her so desperate for scraps of affection that when he revealed the truth, she'd crawl back and let him control her power. The perfect weapon, gift-wrapped in trauma. Ian, come home, Jenny! Jack extends his hand. Be my Luna, my queen. I'll never reject you again. I swear it. The wolves inch closer. The stream roars behind her. Jack's face is open, pleading, and if she didn't know better, she'd almost believe he meant it. But she does know better now. Jump, the voice in her head whispers, stronger this time, vibrating through her bones. Jump. I'll protect you. We're almost home. Jenny looks at Jack, at the man who spent 3 years teaching her to hate herself, who orchestrated her poisoning, who would chain her power to his ambition and call it love. Then she looks at the deadly rapids behind her. I'd rather drown, she says, and jumps. The current hits like a fist. Water fills her mouth, her lungs. The world becomes a chaos of white foam and black water, and her body tumbling like a leaf in a hurricane. She can't breathe, can't see, can't... Something massive crashes into the water beside her. Through the churning darkness, she sees a flash of silver fur, eyes like molten gold. A wolf, bigger than any she's ever seen, its jaws closing around her jacket, pulling her, fighting the current with her, not letting her go. The last thing Jenny sees before the rapids swallow them both is Jack standing on the Nightfang shore, screaming her name into the indifferent night. Chapter 3. Silk whispers against Jenny's skin like a prayer. Her eyes crack open to unfamiliar shadows dancing across an unfamiliar ceiling, and every nerve ending in her body screams alive for the first time in 3 years. The scent hits her next, pine and moonlight, and something clean and wild that makes her wolf stir in her chest like a creature waking from hibernation. A man sits in the chair beside her bed, reading. His hands tremble slightly as he turns the page. Jenny's breath catches. He's beautiful in the way dangerous things are beautiful, all sharp edges and controlled power, dark hair falling across his forehead, jaw carved from stone. But it's his eyes that stop her heart when he looks up. Molten gold, the same eyes that found her in the rapids. You're awake. His voice is rough, like he hasn't used it in days. He sets the book aside with careful precision, and Jenny notices his fingers are shaking harder now. I wasn't sure you would be. She tries to sit up. Her body refuses. We're Silvermoon territory. You're safe. He pours water from a crystal pitcher, holds the glass to her lips with a gentleness that makes her throat tighten. I'm Reacher, alpha of the Silvermoon Pack. The water tastes like heaven. Jenny drinks too fast, chokes, and he steadies her with a hand on her shoulder. The touch sends electricity racing down her spine, nothing like the dull weight of Jack's hands. This burns. How long? Her voice is sandpaper. 3 days. Your body was purging the poison. The healer said... He stops, jaw working. The healer said you should have died. The amount of wolfsbane in your system was enough to kill a full-grown alpha, but you kept fighting. 3 days. Jenny's fingers find her throat, expecting to feel the phantom sting of needles. Her skin is smooth, clean. My wolf, she whispers. I can feel her. She's there, weak. No, but there. Reacher's eyes track her face like he's memorizing it. The damage runs deep. It'll take time for her to fully surface. Years of suppression don't heal overnight. Jenny forces herself to meet his gaze. You pulled me out of the rapids. Why? Something flickers across his face. Pain and wonder and a hunger so raw it makes her breath hitch. Because I've been searching for you for 5 years. Ever since the moon goddess showed me your face in a vision and told me you were mine. The words should sound insane. Possessive. They should make her want to run. Instead, warmth blooms in her chest, spreading through her veins like liquid sunlight. The feeling is overwhelming, undeniable, nothing like the dull obligation she felt with Jack. This is recognition. This is coming home. That's impossible, she says. But her body is already leaning toward him, drawn by invisible threads. The mate bond. Reacher's voice drops to something almost reverent. You feel it too. She does. God help her, she does. He stands abruptly, putting distance between them like proximity is dangerous. There's something you need to see. Can you walk? Jenny's legs are rubber, but she refuses to be weak. Not here. Not with him watching. She forces herself upright, and Reacher catches her elbow when she sways. His touch is fire and safety and everything she's never had. He leads her through corridors of polished wood and stone, past wolves who stop and stare with something like awe. The pack house is nothing like Nightfang's fortress. This place breathes with centuries of history of power that doesn't need to announce itself. White Reacher opens a door to what must be his private study. Floor-to-ceiling bookshelves, a massive desk, windows overlooking forests that stretch to the horizon. But he's not showing her the room. He's showing her the portrait above the fireplace. Jenny's knees buckle. The woman in the painting has her eyes, her bone structure, her silver crescent birthmark. She wears lunar robes in Silvermoon's colors, midnight blue and silver, and stands with one hand resting on a wolf's head, the other holding a staff crowned with moonstone. Your mother, Reacher says quietly. She was our pack princess, the last white alpha before you. The room tilts. That's impossible. My mother was... She never said... She ran away 25 years ago when the prophecy demanded she sacrifice her mate to fully ascend to her power. Reacher moves to stand beside her, his presence solid and grounding. That mate was your father, an alpha from a rival pack. Their love was forbidden. She chose him over her destiny, and their union nearly started a war between packs. Jenny can't breathe. She never told me any of this. She was protecting you. The bloodline skips generations sometimes. She probably hoped it would pass you by. His hand hovers near hers, not quite touching. But it didn't. Questions pile up in Jenny's throat, but before she can ask any of them, a strange sensation floods her abdomen. Not pain. Something else. Something that makes her gasp and press both hands to her stomach. Reacher tenses. What's wrong? The study door slams open. A woman in healer's robes rushes in, her face urgent. Alpha, I need to examine her, now! There's something... She stops, eyes widening as she looks at Jenny. Oh, moon goddess, you can feel it, can't you? Feel what? Jenny's voice cracks. The healer's hands are gentle as she guides Jenny to a chair, her fingers pressing against Jenny's abdomen with practiced precision. Her face goes pale. You're pregnant. Approximately 3 months along, the world stops. That's impossible, Jenny whispers. I haven't been with Jack in over 6 months. The timeline doesn't... It's not his. The healer's voice is shaking. This child isn't developing normally. The growth pattern is wrong. It's as if... She looks at Reacher with something like fear. It's as if the fetus has been waiting, in stasis. Until the conditions were right. Reacher crosses the room in 2 strides, drops to his knees in front of Jenny's chair. The true mate bond, he breathes. In the rarest bloodlines, it can transcend physical touch. It can create life from soul connection alone. Jenny's hands are trembling against her stomach. What are you saying? His golden eyes hold hers, blazing with certainty and terror and wonder. The moon goddess showed me your face 5 years ago. If our souls have been connected since then, if the bond has been waiting for you to be freed. He covers her hands with his, and power arcs between them, undeniable as lightning. This child is ours, Jenny. Conceived the moment Jack's rejection ritual severed his claim on you. The bond knew before we did. The truth of it resonates in her bones, impossible, insane. absolutely certain. I don't understand, she whispers. Neither do I, but I know, Reacher starts. Alarms shatter the air, howls erupt from every direction, and Jenny's wolf surges in her chest, responding to the threat. Guards burst through the study door, their faces grim. Alpha! Nightfang Pack at the borders with a war party, 50 wolves, maybe more. The guard's voice is tight. They're demanding we return their Luna. Alpha Jack is invoking the Blood Moon Accords. Trial by combat for the right to claim her. Ice floods Jenny's veins. The Blood Moon Accords are ancient law, unbreakable. If Jack challenges and wins, she goes back to Nightfang in chains. Reacher rises slowly and the air in the room changes. His wolf is there beneath his skin, massive and lethal. When he speaks, his voice carries the weight of generations. So let him come. Gold bleeds into his eyes until they're burning suns. She was never his. He looks at Jenny and she sees her future in his face. War, blood, a choice between two alphas fighting for ownership of her body. But for the first time in 3 years, Jenny feels her wolf rise to meet the challenge, and she realizes with sudden, terrible clarity that neither of them gets to choose. She does. Chapter 4. The great hall stretches before them like a battlefield dressed in ceremony. Jenny stands beside Reacher on the raised dais, acutely aware of every Silvermoon wolf packed into the space, their eyes boring into her back. She's wearing borrowed clothes, a simple dress in midnight blue that marks her as under Silvermoon protection. It feels like armor made of paper. The massive wooden doors groan open. Jack enters first, and Jenny's body remembers 3 years of flinching before her mind catches up. He's dressed for war, leather and steel, his alpha power rolling off him in waves meant to intimidate. 50 Nightfang warriors file in behind him, a show of force that makes the Silvermoon wolves bristle. But it's the woman at Jack's side that makes Jenny's breath strangle in her throat. Midge. Her arm is bandaged where Jenny's blade found flesh, and she won't meet Jenny's eyes. There's something in her face. Regret, defiance, shame, all tangled together into an expression Jenny can't read. Jack stops at the center of the hall. His eyes find Jenny and his face transforms into a mask of remorse, so perfect it would have fooled her a week ago. Jenny! His voice carries to every corner of the room. I was wrong, so terribly wrong. He takes a step forward, and Reacher's growl rumbles through the floor. Jack stops, raises his hands in supplication. I rejected you in anger, in ignorance. I was manipulated, lied to about your worth by those who wanted to see our bond destroyed. The hall is silent as a grave. The rejection ritual, Jack continues, his voice heavy with manufactured pain. It was never properly completed. Under Moon Law, both parties must verbally accept the severance. You never spoke the words of acceptance, Jenny, which means our bond remains intact. You're still my mate, still my Luna. Murmurs ripple through the assembled wolves. Jenny's hands clench into fists. Reacher moves forward and the temperature in the room drops 10 degrees. She is my true mate, blessed by the moon goddess herself, whom I have claimed by divine right. Claims require proof. An elderly Silvermoon wolf steps forward, one of the pack elders, his face carved from ancient stone. We will not go to war over a woman without evidence of the supposed divine bloodline. The Nightfang Alpha has legal precedent. Show us proof or surrender her. Reacher's jaw works. Jenny can feel his wolf clawing at his skin, desperate to fight. But law is law, and even alphas bow to the moon's justice. I have proof, Midge says. Every head turns. She steps forward, away from Jack, her bandaged arm clutched to her chest. Her eyes finally meet Jenny's, and there's something broken in them. 3 years of medical records. Midge's voice shakes as she produces a tablet, fingers flying across the screen. Documenting systematic poisoning. Concentrated wolfsbane administered weekly under the guise of fertility treatments. All on Alpha Jack's direct orders. The hall erupts. Nightfang wolves snarl denials. Silvermoon wolves surge forward, rage in their eyes. I followed his orders, Midge says louder, and the authority in her voice cuts through the chaos. I administered the poison because he told me it was necessary, that Jenny's human weakness would shame the pack if she couldn't produce an heir, that keeping her wolf suppressed was merciful. Her voice cracks. But I can't let him rewrite history. I can't let him stand here and pretend he loved her. She deserves the truth. Jack's mask slips. Just for a second, Jenny sees the cold calculation beneath. You're overwrought, Jack says smoothly. The guilt of watching our Luna suffer has clearly... I have his written orders, Midge cuts him off. Signed, dated, 3 years of documentation proving he knew exactly what he was doing. The elders crowd around the tablet, their faces darken as they scroll. Jenny's chest is heaving. 3 years. Proof! Everyone will know. Everyone will see that she wasn't weak, wasn't worthless, wasn't... But there's something else, Midge says, and her eyes find Jenny's again. Something Alpha Jack deserves to know before this goes any further. No. Jenny's wolf stirs in warning. No, don't. She's pregnant! The hall explodes into chaos. Wolves shouting, snarling, Reachers roar, shaking the rafters. But Midge's voice cuts through it all. Approximately 3 months along. The child was conceived before the rejection ritual was finalized. She turns to the elders, and her face is perfectly neutral now, clinical. Under Moon Law, a pregnancy establishes permanent mate bond rights regardless of ritual status. The child is Alpha Jack's legal heir. Jack's smile spreads slow and triumphant across his face. I don't want the woman, he says, and the casual cruelty in his voice is more honest than anything he's said so far. I want my child, the prophesied bloodline. Let her stay with the Silvermoon Alpha if she wants, but my heir comes home to Nightfang. Under Moon Law, I have that right. The elders are nodding. Ancient law is absolute. A child belongs to its father's pack. Jenny's vision blurs red. 3 years of poison. 3 years of being told she was worthless. And now he wants to take her child. The one thing that's hers. The one miracle the moon goddess gave her, and use it as a weapon. No. The word comes out quiet. Too quiet. But something in the air changes. Silver light blooms beneath Jenny's skin, like lightning trapped in flesh. The great hall trembles. Cracks spiderweb across the stone floor, radiating out from where she stands. Every wolf in the room feels it, an overwhelming, undeniable compulsion to bow. Jack's knees hit the floor first, his eyes wide with shock. Then the Nightfang warriors, the Silvermoon elders, even Reacher drops to one knee, though his eyes blaze with wonder, not submission. Power rolls off Jenny in waves, ancient and absolute. The voice that comes from her throat is hers and not hers, layered with something older. Something that remembers when wolves first learned to walk on 2 legs. The child is not Jack's. The silver light intensifies until the entire hall glows like captured moonlight. Jenny's eyes flash pure white, pupils drowning in divine radiance. Her hand moves to her stomach, and beneath her palm, warmth pulses in response. This child belongs to my true mate, conceived through a bond blessed by the moon goddess herself, transcending flesh and time and the pathetic claims of a male who spent 3 years trying to break me. She takes a step forward, and Jack scrambles backward on his knees, terror naked on his face. If you want to contest that, Jenny says, and her voice echoes with the weight of prophecy, I'll prove it in blood. The light detonates outward. Every window in the great hall shatters simultaneously, glass raining down like diamonds. When the brilliance finally fades, Jenny stands in the center of a scorched circle, her silver birthmark blazing on her forehead. And every wolf in the room knows what she is, the white alpha, the prophecy made flesh. Jack's face drains of color, but his eyes don't show defeat. They show calculation, hunger. The blood moon accords, he whispers. Trial by combat. I invoke my right. Chapter 5, the challenge circle is older than memory, carved into the earth behind the Silvermoon Pack house where ancient oaks form a living cathedral. Jenny stands at its edge as the sun bleeds toward the horizon, watching wolves from both packs gather in a silent ring around the sacred ground. By moonrise, she'll either be free or damned. Reacher's hand closes around her wrist. Let me fight him as your mate! Well, I have the right to stand as your champion. Jenny turns to face him, and the desperation in his golden eyes nearly breaks her resolve. This is my battle. You've never shifted, never fought. He'll kill you. Then I die free. She covers his hand with hers, feeling the mate bond pulse between them like a second heartbeat. I won't let another man fight my wars, not even you. His jaw works. Jenny, Alpha. The pack healer approaches, her face grave. A word, privately. They move away from the gathering crowd. The healer's hands twist together, and Jenny's stomach drops before the woman even speaks. Your power is awakening, but it's wild, untrained. The healer's voice drops to barely a whisper. If you try to use it while pregnant, the strain could kill both you and the child. The fetus is developing at an accelerated rate. Any additional stress on your system could trigger premature labor or worse. Jenny's hand moves instinctively to her stomach. And if I don't use my power, if I try to fight him as just a newly awakened wolf, the healer's silence is answer enough. I need to know something, Jenny says. My mother, she carried the prophecy too. What happened to her? The healer's eyes cloud with old grief. She faced a trial just like this. She was pregnant with you, carrying the prophesied bloodline. and the moon goddess demanded she fight to prove her worthiness. She pauses. But your mother chose to run. She fled in the night, abandoned her pack, her power, everything. She chose love and life over destiny and glory. Did she regret it? Every day, I think, but she had you. And she loved you more than prophecy. The healer meets Jenny's eyes. There's no shame in choosing to survive, child. Your mother's choice was brave in its own way. But Jenny remembers her mother's journal, the desperate warnings, the fear that saturated every page. Her mother spent 25 years running, hiding, always looking over her shoulder. That's not freedom, that's just a different kind of cage. Luna, one of Silvermoon's eldest wolves, approaches, leaning heavily on a gnarled staff. 3 others follow, ancient wolves whose eyes have seen centuries pass. We would speak with you, teach you what we can before moonrise. They take her to a clearing where sunlight filters through leaves like liquid gold. For hours, they show her how to feel her wolf, how to coax the power without forcing it, how to let instinct guide her when training fails. The bloodline remembers, they tell her. The white alpha has been born before, will be born again. The knowledge lives in her bones. Jenny's wolf stirs stronger with each passing minute, drawn by the moon's approach. But she's still so weak, so new. 3 years of poison don't heal in days. Visitor for the Luna, a guard announces as the sun kisses the horizon. Midge walks into the clearing and the elderly wolves melt away like smoke. She looks smaller than Jenny remembers, her bandaged arm held close to her body, her eyes red-rimmed and raw. I don't have long, Midge says. Jack thinks I'm preparing his victory feast. She laughs, bitter and broken. I need to tell you something before you walk into that circle. Before you die or he dies or the world ends? Jenny's hands curl into fists. More lies? The truth, Midge's voice cracks. I'm your half-sister. The words hit like physical blows. Jenny staggers back. Our father took my mother as his chosen mate after yours fled. I was born 6 months after you. Midge's tears fall freely now. I was raised on stories of the daughter who got away, the special one, the one with the real prophecy. My mother told me every day that I was second best, that if you hadn't been born, the power would have been mine, that I was just the replacement child for the one that mattered. Jenny's throat closes. I hated you, Midge whispers. Before I ever met you, I hated you. And when Jack needed a healer, when I realized his mate was you. She breaks off, shoulders shaking. Wow, the poisoning wasn't just following orders. It was jealous rage. It was wanting to destroy the golden child who got all the prophecies while I got nothing. You tried to kill me. Jenny's voice is hollow. I wanted you to suffer, to be as powerless as I felt. Midge looks up, and her eyes are drowning. But Jack didn't know about the prophecy until 3 months ago. I told him. I thought if you died, the power would pass to the next bloodline, to me. I could rule beside him, be special, be chosen. The confession hangs between them like poison. But then I watched you, Midge continues. The way you kept hoping, kept trying to be enough for him. You looked just like my mother, desperate for love from a man who saw you as property. And I realized I'd become the thing I hated most. I'd become her. Destroying another woman to feel worthy. She slides a small vial across the ground between them. The liquid inside glows faint silver. This will accelerate your wolf's awakening. It's dangerous while pregnant, could trigger early labor, could kill you both. But it might give you a fighting chance against Jack. Midge's hands are shaking. I can't undo 3 years of poison, but maybe I can give you this. Jenny stares at the vial. Why should I trust you? You shouldn't. Midge's laugh is broken glass. But you're my sister, the only family I have left who's worth a damn. And I'd rather die knowing I tried to save you than live knowing I killed you. She stands, turns to leave, then stops. For what it's worth, I'm sorry. I know it doesn't fix anything, but I'm sorry. Then she's gone, and Jenny is alone with the vial and the approaching moon. Moonrise comes too fast. Jenny stands in the center of the challenge circle, her borrowed dress replaced with simple fighting leathers. The vial sits heavy in her pocket, unused. She doesn't trust it. Doesn't trust Midge. Doesn't trust herself not to use it as a crutch. Jack enters the circle, already half-shifted, his eyes blazing amber. He strips off his shirt, and his body ripples with muscle and scars, decades of battles won. When he shifts, it's smooth as silk. His wolf is massive, black as midnight, scarred and battle-hardened. He's killed before, many times. The crowd holds its breath. Jenny has never shifted, never even felt her wolf fully until 3 days ago. Her hands shake as the moon breaks over the horizon. full and bright and demanding. Jack lunges. Jenny's body convulses. Not in fear, in transformation. The shift doesn't come gradually, it explodes through her like silver fire, ripping her apart and remaking her in the same breath. But something's wrong. Her bones aren't reforming correctly. She's not becoming a wolf. She's becoming something else. When the silver fire clears, Jenny stands in a hybrid form, half woman, half wolf, 7 feet of lethal grace crowned in moonlight. White fur covers her arms and legs, claws extend from human hands, and her face is a perfect fusion of woman and wolf. Power radiates from her in waves that make the earth itself tremble. The elders gasp. Someone in the crowd whispers, "The White Alpha, the prophecy is real!" Jack skids to a stop, his eyes wide with shock and something that might be fear. Jenny's wolf speaks with her voice. She layered with ancient authority. "Come then, Jack, let's end this!" And she smiles with too many teeth. Chapter 6. Jenny's hybrid form towers over Jack's wolf, and power courses through her veins like molten silver. Centuries of suppressed bloodline magic released all at once. She can feel every heartbeat in the circle, smell fear rolling off the assembled wolves in waves, taste the copper promise of violence on her tongue. Jack circles her, hackles raised, looking for an opening. He's fought for decades, survived challenges that would have killed lesser wolves. But Jenny's body moves before her mind catches up, instinct guiding her in ways training never could. He lunges. She sidesteps, claws raking across his flank. Blood sprays black in the moonlight. Jack yelps, spins, comes at her again with snapping jaws. Jenny catches him mid-leap, her hybrid strength effortlessly overwhelming his wolf form. She slams him into the ground hard enough to crack earth, and the impact reverberates through the circle like thunder. The fight should be over, it should be quick and brutal and final, but Jack has survived this long for a reason. He twists beneath her grip, teeth finding her shoulder, tearing through fur and flesh. Pain explodes white-hot, and Jenny's roar shakes the trees. She throws him 20 feet. He hits the ground rolling, comes up bleeding but determined. They clash again and again. Jenny's raw power against Jack's vicious experience. But it's not enough. She's too strong, too fast, too inevitable. With each exchange, Jack weakens, his movements slow, blood mats his black fur. Finally, Jenny gets her claws around his throat. She pins him to the earth, her hybrid form radiating heat and light. One squeeze and it's over. One twist and she's free forever. Jack's wolf form shimmers, shifts back to human. He lies beneath her, throat bared, blood streaming from a dozen wounds. His eyes hold no remorse, only calculation. Even now he's trying to figure the angles. "Do it," he gasps. "Prove you're as ruthless as the prophecy demands." Jenny's claws tighten. The pack watches in absolute silence, waiting for the killing blow. But then memories flood her mind. Not her memories. Ancestral memories from every woman in her bloodline, passed through blood and bone and the silver mark that brands her chosen. She sees the original moon goddesses, blessed, the first white alpha, standing over a defeated enemy 2,000 years ago. She sees the choice that woman made. The first white alpha chose mercy over vengeance, unity over domination. She understood that power used to destroy only perpetuates the cycle of violence. Jenny's wolf speaks to her clearly for the first time, not as a separate voice, but as part of her own thoughts. Kill him, and you become what he is. Spare him, and you become what we're meant to be. The prophecy isn't about producing the strongest killer, it's about breaking the cycle. Jenny's claws retract. She releases Jack and steps back, her hybrid form shimmering as she shifts. The transformation reverses, fur receding, bones reshaping. When it's done, she stands human again. Though silver light still glows beneath her skin like captured starlight, and her eyes remain pure white. The prophecy isn't about one alpha dominating all others, Jenny says, and her voice carries to every corner of the circle. She addresses both packs, Silvermoon and Nightfang alike. It's about ending the cycle of domination entirely. She looks down at Jack, bleeding and broken at her feet. "You spent 3 years trying to break me, poisoning me, telling me I was worthless, and when you discovered what I really was, you wanted to chain my power to your ambition." Her voice doesn't shake. "I could kill you. Under moon law, I have that right. You challenged me and I won." The pack holds its breath. "But I'm not you." Jenny's eyes find Midge in the crowd, see her sister's tear-stained face. "The blood moon accords are satisfied. Your challenge claim is stripped. You have no legal right to me or my child, ever." She pauses. "But you get to live. You get to go home to Nightfang and think about what you've become. That's my mercy." Murmurs ripple through the assembled wolves, some approving, some confused. The concept of an alpha showing mercy is foreign, radical, dangerous. Jack stares up at her, and for the first time, something like fear crosses his face. Not fear of death, fear of irrelevance. She's dismissed him, made him powerless with kindness rather than cruelty. Jenny turns to address the elders to make her declaration official, and the world tilts sideways. Pain explodes in her abdomen. Not the clean pain of battle wounds. Something deeper, wronger. Jenny gasps and looks down at her stomach. Her borrowed leathers are stretched tight over a pronounced swell that wasn't there minutes ago. As she watches in horror, her belly expands further. She appears 6 months pregnant now, though only days have passed since the healer's diagnosis. "No," she whispers, her legs give out. She hits the ground hard and Reacher is there instantly, catching her before her head cracks stone. The pack healer rushes forward, hands already glowing with diagnostic magic. Her face goes white. "The awakening triggered accelerated fetal development. The child is trying to be born, but it's too soon. She's not ready. The Luna's body isn't ready." Her voice rises in panic. "If we don't stabilize her, we'll lose them both." Reacher's arms tighten around Jenny. "Tell me how to help. Tell me what to do." But before the healer can answer, the air in the challenge circle splits like torn fabric. Light pours through the wound in reality. Not sunlight or moonlight, but something older and infinitely more terrifying. Every wolf in attendance drops to their knees, compelled by a power that predates pack law, predates werewolves themselves. The moon goddess manifests in the center of the circle. She's beautiful and terrible, simultaneously young and ancient, her form shifting between solid and ethereal. Silver hair cascades to the ground, and her eyes are the depthless black of space between stars. When she speaks, her voice resonates in bones and souls. "My chosen has shown mercy where vengeance was deserved. She has passed the first test without knowing it was a test at all." Jenny can barely breathe through the pain racking her body. "Please, the baby." "The child will not die, but neither will she wait." The goddess's gaze lands on Jenny's swollen belly. As in something like sympathy softens her inhuman features. The awakening of your power has awakened hers. She is eager to join this world to fulfill her purpose. "She's too early," the healer gasps from her knees. "She'll die." "Not if her mother proves worthy." The goddess raises one hand, and a shimmering doorway tears open in the air, a portal of liquid silver that shows nothing beyond its threshold but swirling mist. "3 trials to prove you can wield the power without corruption. Truth, mercy, and sacrifice. You have shown mercy. Now you must face truth and sacrifice in the mirror realm." Jenny's vision blurs with pain. "I can't! The baby!" "You must complete the trials before the child is born. You have 3 days." The goddess' eyes bore into her. "Enter the mirror realm. Face what you are and what you could become. Or forfeit the prophecy forever. If you fail or refuse, your daughter will be born ordinary, powerless, mortal, forgotten. The bloodline will end with you." "I'll go with her," Reacher says, his voice steel. "She's not doing this alone." He reaches for Jenny's hand, but invisible force slams him backward. He crashes into the crowd of wolves, and when he tries to stand, he can't. Something holds him pinned. "She enters alone," the goddess says. "This is her trial, her choice, her destiny." Jenny looks back at Reacher, at the desperation and love blazing in his golden eyes. She looks at Midge, at her half-sister's tear-stained face, twisted with guilt and fear. She looks at the assembled packs, at wolves from Nightfang and Silvermoon, watching to see if she'll run like her mother did. Another contraction rips through her. And Jenny screams. 3 days. The goddess said 3 days, but it feels like the baby is trying to claw her way out right now. Truth, sacrifice, whatever waits beyond that doorway. Jenny forces herself to her feet, one hand pressed to her swollen stomach. "If this is what it takes to save her, I'll do it." She takes a step toward the portal, then another. The pain is blinding, but she doesn't stop. "Jenny, don't!" Reacher's voice cracks. She looks back one last time, memorizing his face. "I love you. Take care of our daughter if I don't make it back." Then she steps through the shimmering doorway. The portal slams shut behind her with a sound like the universe breaking. Jenny finds herself in a realm of mirrors, hundreds of them, thousands, stretching into infinite darkness. Each reflects a different version of herself. Victim, a warrior, monster, queen, Luna, corpse. And in the distance, one mirror glows brighter than the rest. Jenny walks toward it, drawn by terrible curiosity. When she's close enough to see the reflection clearly, her heart stops. The mirror shows her holding a newborn with eyes that shift from green to gold. The baby is perfect, healthy, alive. But beneath Jenny's feet in the reflection lies Reacher's body, his golden eyes empty and dead. Chapter 7. The mirror realm stretches infinite in all directions, a cathedral of glass and lies. Jenny's footsteps echo on ground that looks like obsidian but feels like nothing at all. Each mirror she passes shows a different version of herself, and the weight of possibility presses against her chest like a stone. The first mirror she approaches glows with sickly yellow light. The reflection shows her in the Nightfang Pack house, 3 years older, wearing lunar robes that hang off her gaunt frame. This Jenny's eyes are hollow, her spirit crushed to powder. Jack stands behind her, his hand possessive on her shoulder, and she leans into the touch like a beaten dog, grateful for any affection. The reflection's lips move, and Jenny hears her own voice, broken and resigned. You stayed because you were afraid to be alone. The abuse was never about being wolfless. You would have accepted anything, the poison, the humiliation, the pain, just to feel wanted by someone, anyone. Jenny's stomach turns. She wants to look away, but the mirror holds her gaze. You told yourself it was love. The reflection continues. But love doesn't feel like this. You just didn't know how to exist without someone telling you who to be. I left, Jenny says through gritted teeth. I got out. Only because he threw you away first. You never would have chosen yourself. The mirror goes dark and Jenny stumbles back, her chest heaving. The contraction that ripples through her abdomen makes her gasp, but she forces herself forward. 3 days? She has 3 days? The second mirror burns with crimson light. This Jenny stands atop a mountain of bodies, blood staining her white fur, her eyes blazing with righteous fury. Jack's corpse lies at her feet. Midge is beside him, and behind them dozens more, wolves who questioned her, challenged her, looked at her wrong. Power doesn't heal wounds, this version says, her voice hard as diamond. It just gives you bigger weapons to hurt people with. You thought revenge would make you whole, but all it did was make you hollow. The warrior Jenny's smile is vicious. At least you're feared now. That's better than worthless, right? Jenny shakes her head. I showed mercy. I spared Jack. Because you're weak, the reflection snarls. He deserved death. They all do. And one day you'll realize that kindness is just another word for cowardice. The mirror cracks down the center, and Jenny turns away before it can shatter completely. The third mirror appears in front of her before she can catch her breath. This one shows darkness shot through with silver light. Jenny in her hybrid form, alone in a throne room built of bones. Her daughter's tiny corpse lies at her feet. Reacher's beside it. This Jenny looks directly at her, and her eyes are empty of everything but power. Still, you're terrified that love makes you weak, the reflection whispers. So you'll destroy anything you can't control. Better to be alone and powerful than vulnerable and ordinary. She tilts her head. The goddess offered you everything. You just had to sacrifice the things that held you back. Your mate, your child, your humanity. I would never. Jenny's voice breaks. Wouldn't you? When the choice comes, when you're standing at the edge with everything on the line, won't you pick power? At least power can't abandon you, can't poison you, can't tell you you're worthless. The monster Jenny smiles. Power is the only thing that's ever been truly yours. Jenny's legs threaten to buckle, but she forces herself past the mirror. Another contraction hits, stronger this time. She can feel her daughter moving inside her, urgent and insistent. Not much time left. The fourth mirror glows with warm golden light. This Jenny stands beside Reacher, their daughter cradled between them. She looks happy, balanced, powerful but compassionate, leading with wisdom instead of fear. The Silvermoon Pack house stretches behind them, and wolves of all packs bow with respect, not terror. Jenny reaches toward the mirror, desperate to touch this future, to make it real. The glass cracks, blood seeps from the fissures, running down the surface in dark rivulets. This future costs everything, the reflection says, and her voice is sad. The balance you want, power and love, strength and compassion, sovereignty and vulnerability. It demands a price you may not be willing to pay. Before Jenny can ask what price, the mirror shatters. Glass rains down, each shard showing a different moment of pain. Reacher dying, her daughter screaming, Midge's betrayal, her mother's death, Jack's cruelty. Jenny collapses to her knees, arms wrapped around her swollen belly. Please, she whispers to the darkness, just tell me what to do. A new mirror materializes in front of her, larger than all the others. The surface ripples like water, and when it clears, Jenny's mother looks back at her. She's younger than Jenny remembers, her face unlined by fear and running. She wears the Silvermoon Luna robes from the portrait, and her silver crescent birthmark glows with the same light that marks Jenny. My daughter! Her mother's voice is achingly familiar. I'm sorry I couldn't prepare you for this. I thought if I ran far enough, fast enough, the prophecy would pass you by. Tell me how to survive this, Jenny begs. Tell me what the goddess really wants. Her mother's expression fills with regret. Every 300 years, a white alpha is born to reset the balance, to prevent corruption of power, to remind the packs that strength without compassion leads to tyranny. She pauses. But the goddess demands sacrifice to ensure the chosen one doesn't become the very thing she's meant to destroy. I was asked to sacrifice your father, my true mate, the love of my life. Jenny's blood runs cold. I refused. I ran. I chose love over destiny. Her mother's tears shimmer silver. And the packs fell into chaos. Alphas became tyrants. The strong devoured the weak. All because I was too selfish to pay the price. Her eyes bore into Jenny's. You must succeed where I failed. But the choice will break your heart. I can't tell you which door to choose. I can only tell you that any choice you make will cost you something you can't bear to lose. The mirror begins to fade, but before it vanishes completely, the surface ripples again. Jenny sees memories. Not visions of the future, but suppressed observations from her own past. Midge's face beside hers, the same bone structure, the same eyes. The way Midge always touched her own birthmark when she looked at Jenny. The mix of love and hatred that flickered across her features when she thought no one was watching. Jenny had always known on some level that Midge was her sister. The resemblance was too strong, the connection too deep. But acknowledging it meant confronting the truth. Their father had abandoned Midge to raise Jenny. They had chosen the daughter with the prophecy and left the other to grow up poisoned by resentment. Jenny had ignored the signs because seeing them meant accepting her father's cruelty, meant accepting that she'd benefited from Midge's suffering. The mirror dissolves and the mirror realm shifts around her. The infinite reflections collapse inward, converging on a single point. 3 doors materialize before Jenny, each carved from different materials. The first is silver, inscribed with runes that spell power. The second is gold, marked love. The third is white marble, labeled child. A voice echoes through the realm, the moon goddess, distant but absolute. You may keep only 2. The third you must sacrifice. Choose wisely, for there is no return. Jenny's hands shake as she stares at the doors. Give up her power and remain ordinary. Give up love and rule alone. Give up her daughter and no. The third option is unthinkable. But even as she thinks it, a contraction rips through her so violently she screams. Sharp, agonizing, final. She's running out of time. Jenny reaches toward the golden door marked love, her hand trembling. Then she feels wetness between her legs. She looks down. Blood. Dark and too much of it. The baby is coming whether Jenny's ready or not, whether she's chosen or not, whether she's worthy or not. Jenny's vision blurs with pain and tears as she stands between the 3 doors, her daughter trying to claw her way into a world that demands Jenny sacrifice something she can't bear to lose. And time runs out. Chapter 8. Jenny collapses between the 3 doors, labor pains tearing through her like claws. Blood pools beneath her, dark and damning. The mirror realm pulses with each contraction, the glass walls breathing in rhythm with her agony. Choose! The goddess's voice echoes from everywhere and nowhere. Power, love, or child, 2 you keep, 1 you sacrifice. No! Jenny's scream shatters a dozen mirrors. The choice is rigged. You're asking me to destroy myself no matter what I pick. Another contraction doubles her over. Through the pain, she sees the doors shimmer. Power, love, child. Each one a piece of her soul. You can't make me choose, she gasps. I won't. The mirror realm trembles. Cracks spiderweb across the obsidian floor. Then her mother's spirit materializes beside her, kneeling in the blood, her translucent hands hovering over Jenny's swollen belly. The goddess doesn't want obedience, her mother whispers urgently. She wants you to find the 4th option, the one I was too afraid to see. Jenny's vision blurs. There is no 4th option. That's the whole point of the test. Isn't there? Her mother's eyes are gentle. I stood where you're standing. I saw 3 doors and chose to run rather than sacrifice anything. But the real sacrifice was never external, Jenny. It was never about giving up power or love or your child. Another contraction. Jenny screams and the sound echoes through infinite reflections. What then? She sobs. What does she want from me? Your fear? Her mother's hand touches Jenny's face, cold as moonlight. Sacrifice your fear of being powerless, your fear of being alone, your fear of being unworthy. Those fears are what make the choice impossible. Those fears are what the goddess wants you to burn away. Jenny's breath catches. The doors labeled power, love, and child shimmer before her eyes. But they're not real choices. They're manifestations of her fears. Fear of being powerless like she was with Jack. Fear of being alone like her mother was when she ran. Fear of being unworthy of her daughter's love. I am powerful, Jenny whispers through the pain. Not because of prophecy or bloodline. Because I survived, I endured, I chose mercy when vengeance would have been easier. The door labeled power cracks. I am loved, she continues louder now. By Reacher, by the pack, by myself. And I don't need anyone's validation to know I'm worthy of it. The door labeled love splinters. And my daughter, Jenny's voice breaks. My daughter doesn't need me to be perfect. She needs me to be brave enough to live, to fight, to choose all of it instead of sacrificing pieces of myself to fit someone else's prophecy. The door labeled child explodes into light. All 3 doors dissolve and the mirror realm shatters like dropped glass. Jenny is falling, tumbling through darkness and silver light, her mother's voice fading. You found it, the 4th path, now go, be what I couldn't. Jenny crashes back into reality. She lands in Reacher's arms in the Great Hall, and the impact jolts another contraction through her body. She screams and Reacher's face swims above her, his golden eyes wild with relief and terror. You're back! Thank the goddess, you're back! The baby, Jenny gasps. She's coming now! The moon goddess materializes in the center of the hall, her presence forcing every wolf to their knees. But her expression is different now, approving, almost warm. You passed the trial of truth by seeing through the illusion, the goddess says. But mercy and sacrifice remain, and they will test you now, in blood and pain. Jenny's water breaks, fluid and blood soaking the floor. Another contraction, and she feels her daughter moving down, eager to be born, heedless of trials or prophecies or anything but the primal need to live. I need a healer! Reacher's voice cracks with panic. Midge pushes through the crowd. Her face is tear-streaked, her bandaged arm still seeping blood, but her hands are steady as she drops to her knees beside Jenny. I'm a healer's apprentice, Midge says, meeting Jenny's eyes. Let me deliver the baby. The hall holds its breath. This is the woman who poisoned her for 3 years. The woman who orchestrated her suffering out of jealous rage, the half-sister who hated her before they ever met. Jenny's instincts scream danger. Every hard-won lesson tells her to refuse, to push Midge away, to protect herself. The trial of mercy. Jenny's hand shoots out, grabs Midge's wrist. Help me! Please! Midge's sob is broken and grateful. I've got you! I promise, I've got you! She works quickly, efficiently, hands glowing with healing magic as she guides the baby down. Jenny screams through another contraction, her fingers digging into Reacher's arm hard enough to bruise. You're doing so well, Midge murmurs. Almost there, just one more push. Movement explodes from the crowd. Jack lunges from the assembled Nightfang wolves, his eyes blazing amber, a blade clutched in his fist. He's going for Reacher's exposed back, taking advantage of the chaos to eliminate his rival. No! Jenny's scream detonates into power. White fire explodes from her body, not the silver light from before, but pure incandescent flame that stops Jack mid-lunge. He hangs suspended in the air, frozen by Jenny's will. The blade inches from Reacher's spine. Every wolf in the hall feels it, the overwhelming, absolute authority of the white alpha. Jenny holds Jack's life in her hands. One thought, one flex of power, and she could crush him to nothing. The final choice, kill Jack and protect her mate, or show mercy one last time. Every instinct screams to end him. He tried to break her, poison her, control her. He just tried to kill Reacher. He deserves death. But Jenny thinks of the monster in the mirror, the version of herself who chose power over everything else and ended up alone with corpses at her feet. Go! She tells Jack, and her voice resonates with divine command. She releases her power. Jack crashes to the floor, gasping. Live with what you've become! That's punishment enough! Jack scrambles backward, terror naked on his face. The Nightfang wolves drag him toward the exit, and he doesn't resist. He's broken. Not by violence, but by the knowledge that Jenny had the power to destroy him and chose not to. Now push, Midge commands, and Jenny's attention snaps back to her body, to the baby crowning, to the final impossible effort. She bears down with everything she has. Her power flares, white fire dancing across her skin. Reacher's hand is steel in hers. Midge's voice guides her through, and then a cry, tiny, furious, alive. Midge lifts the baby and Jenny's heart stops. Her daughter is perfect, impossibly small, covered in blood and vernix, her eyes squeezed shut against the sudden brightness. When they open, they shift from green to gold and back again. Reacher's eyes and Jenny's blended into something new. The moment the baby enters the world, every wolf in the territory feels it. A surge of power, a new bond forming. Not domination, connection. The child is a bridge, a living promise of unity, but something's wrong. The baby's cry cuts off. Her tiny chest hitches, struggles, fails to expand. She's not breathing. No, no, no! Midge's hands glow brighter, pouring healing magic into the infant. But nothing happens. The baby's lips start turning blue. Reacher's face crumbles. Please do something! Jenny reaches for her daughter with trembling hands, and the moon goddess' voice fills the hall, soft and inexorable. The final sacrifice, the goddess says. The child was conceived in magic. She requires magic to live. You must give her half your power, half your prophecy. You will remain white alpha, but diminished, or you can keep your full power and let her go. Jenny looks down at her daughter's blue-tinged face, at the tiny chest that won't rise. Then she looks at her own hands, still blazing with white fire, with all the power of the prophecy. The choice isn't a choice at all. Chapter 9, Jenny doesn't hesitate. She places both hands on her daughter's tiny chest and pours her power out in a flood of white fire. The light flows from her body into the infant. And in the hall blazes so bright that wolves shield their eyes. The baby gasps. Her chest expands. She wails, furious, alive, perfect. Jenny collapses backward into Reacher's arms, the power dimming in her veins like a candle guttering. She can still feel it there, still sense her wolf's presence, but it's muted now, contained. She's still the white alpha, but no longer godlike, no longer burning with divinity, just powerful enough, just herself. The moon goddess smiles, and the expression transforms her terrible beauty into something almost motherly. You have passed all 3 trials. Truth by seeing through deception, mercy by sparing your enemies, sacrifice by giving your power for love. She moves closer, her form solidifying as she kneels beside Jenny and the baby. The prophecy was never about creating an unstoppable weapon. It was about proving that power wielded with compassion can change everything. The goddess touches the infant's forehead with one luminous finger. The white alpha will not rule through dominance, but through sacrifice. She will remake pack law, not by force, but by example. Jenny's daughter begins to glow. Not with Jenny's silver-white light, but with something warmer, gold and copper and a dozen other colors swirling beneath her translucent skin like living aurora. What's happening to her? Reacher's voice is tight with fear. The power you gave her is transforming, the goddess explains. Your daughter carries DNA from all the gathered packs. The mystical conception drew from the collective bonds formed during the trials. Silvermoon, Nightfang, every wolf who witnessed your mercy. She is literally a bridge between all werewolves. The genetic unity the prophecy promised. Jenny stares at her daughter in wonder. The baby's cry has quieted to soft coos, and her shifting eyes, green to gold to amber to blue, reflect every bloodline in the room. She'll unite what you've divided, the goddess continues. Not through conquest, but through connection. Every pack will see themselves in her. A gasp ripples through the crowd. Midge collapses, her body convulsing as silver light explodes from her core. Her wolf surges forward for the first time, powerful and undeniable. When the light fades, Midge kneels on the floor with her own silver crescent birthmark blazing on her inner wrist. What? Midge's voice breaks. I can feel it! My wolf! After all these years! The goddess turns to her. The power Jenny released when she sacrificed half of hers didn't disappear. When it flowed into you, awakening your own dormant bloodline. You have a sister guardian now, she says to Jenny. 2 white alphas, bound by blood and choice. Together you will lead the new era. Midge's eyes meet Jenny's across the hall, filled with tears and wonder and something that might be redemption. The goddess rises, her form already beginning to fade. My work here is done. The rest is yours to right. She vanishes like morning mist, and the hall falls silent. Jenny forces herself to stand, her daughter cradled against her chest. Every muscle screams, her body wrecked from birth and battle and trials. But she stands anyway because this moment demands it. New laws, she says, and her voice carries despite her exhaustion. Alphas serve their packs, they don't dominate them, mates are chosen, never claimed. Power is earned through merit and compassion, not fear and bloodlines. She looks at Jack, still cowering at the edge of the Nightfang wolves. You have a choice. Genuine rehabilitation, submit to pack justice, make amends, learn to lead without cruelty, or permanent exile. You leave these territories and never return. Jack's face cycles through rage, shame, calculation. Finally, he whispers, "Exile." Jenny nods. "Then go? Live with what you've become." He flees without another word, and half the Nightfang Pack follows. The other half stays, kneeling in submission to the new order. Midge approaches slowly, her newly awakened wolf, making her movements grace instead of hesitation. "I'll be your second," she says. "Gray wolf to your white, shadow to your light. I'll spend the rest of my life earning back what I destroyed." Jenny takes her sister's hand. "Then we start now, together." Reacher moves to her other side, and she leans into his warmth. "Alpha consort," she tells him. "Equal partner, not superior, not subordinate, equal." His smile is blinding. "I wouldn't have it any other way." The final scene unfolds like a painting. Jenny standing in the great hall, transformed from the trembling woman who signed divorce papers into a sovereign Luna. Her daughter sleeps in a sling against her chest. Reacher's hand rests on her shoulder. Midge stands at her right side, no longer enemy or victim, but sister and ally. Both packs, Silvermoon and what remains of Nightfang, kneel in peaceful assembly. "They told me I was worthless because I couldn't shift," Jenny says, her voice clear and strong. "They told me I was weak because I was human. But I was never human. I was just waiting to become who I was always meant to be." She looks at the empty space where Jack stood, at the open doors through which he fled. And the greatest power isn't the ability to destroy, it's the choice not to. The moon rises full and bright outside the windows. Jenny's daughter opens her eyes, one green, one gold, and the mark of the moon goddess glows silver on her tiny forehead. A new era begins, not with conquest, but with a baby's cry and a rejected Luna's mercy. But in the shadows beyond the pack house, a figure watches. A woman with eyes like ice and a smile like poison, her fingers tracing the ancient prophecy etched into a stolen tablet. The words glow in the darkness. "When the white alpha rises, the black alpha wakes." And the true war begins,